Hello everyone and welcome back to the Brightworks, another match of Beyond All Reason. This was one that was submitted through my Discord and I saw a screenshot of about halfway through the game. Apparently some pretty bizarre antics are up to today, so spawning in the southwestern corner and representing the red team is an Armada commander spawning all the way in the backline. In the tech position, a commander that goes by the name of Falcon Strike, coming in from Canada with 38 true skill. A little silver-tailed chevron to beat. We're playing on Supreme Isthmus today, and all the way on the other side of the map. Coming in as the blue commander. Armada as well, spawning on the front lines. Mr. Bad News. Gonna be showing us what we've got today. Apparently, this match ends up with some pretty funky shenanigans, so I'll keep my eye closely on what exactly goes down here. Apparently, there's gonna be some transports headed out, according to this early request here from Hot Potato, who appears to have quite a lot of experience in this game, actually. 19 true skill, but full silver chevrons means at least 1,000 hours in game, I do believe. Definitely expecting some interesting stuff out of our Hot Pink Commander today. Gold Leader going to be sending out air transports. That's a little ironic. Gold Leader is a Star Wars reference, I think. Anyway, going to be spawning as a Cortex Commander here for the red team in the backline, and that should all be well. I mean, this is the air spot, right? So as far as that start goes, it's nothing all too abnormal. We have Rokan Court here, the Maroon Commander, already out in the water, building some tidal generators, going to get a Naval lab set up. Basically all stock standard as far as for now. No winning going into a bot lab here. You're going to get some of those res bots out, go for that slightly greedier eco start where you just go for full res bots, and I'm guessing probably going to just go into some wind turbines after the fact here to fund all of the energy expansions. Should be some good stuff. Tarataran, going to be having a transport now. We do have it on the way here. Wonder if we're going to use it to capture the island or these metal extractors over here. Either one is a good option right now. Would love to see Rokan Court pump out an anti-air unit. Almost always a good idea to send an anti-air unit over here to see if you can try and snipe that transport. If you can't, it's no biggie. You just have an extra scout craft. If you do, well, that's an extra 1,000 or so metal that you get to inherit right to your bank account. So that can be very powerful indeed. Master PD not going into the water here. Interesting. Going to be going for, of all things, an exploiter. Interesting. Even queued up the naval metal extractors here for that land constructor. I don't think that's going to happen. We do have a couple of blitzes built now. Sent out by Dosme on the front lines here. Slightly slower start on the front line for basically everybody here. It looks like Mr. Bad News is fording up quite a bit in the back line here. We have a couple of rovers. They do scout the blitzes at the very least, moving around. So we're not going to be completely out of left field by those tanks slipping into the back line. Zul'jin and Juice. Yeah, falling back off the front line. All right, well, low contest right here from the blue team. Definitely going to give the win right here to the red team as far as the center of the map is concerned. We've got Resbots eating up all that juicy metal, and these blitzes still haven't been dealt with. They've been spotted, they've been reconned, they've been pinged, they've been dealt with. Oh, and Falcon Strike decides to steal the show. All right. Red Commander flies in with the transport. D-guns down the lab right here of Zul'jin and Juice, the frontliner right here for the blue team on the right-hand side, manages to take down a whole bunch of this different stuff. Transport flying in once more. Do we have any planes out? Oh no, Teaspoon does not have any planes up in the air, so Falcon Strike will get away with it. What a cheeky devil. Gold Leader also in a transport, headed across the map already. I just knew some shenanigans were up to this game. We have scout planes, very nice. Finches flying around with these transports, doing some preliminative scouting just to make sure they're not flying directly into any air or anti-air towers, right? Any fighters, for instance, anything like that. Teaspoon has some fighters on the field. They're all on the left side, though. Yeah, all the fighters are not preoccupied with the incoming strike right here. What does the blue team see? Oh, now's the first time they see it. Yeah, there we go. They see the transport coming in, and now they see the commander attached to it. Oh, no. Beautiful D-gun right there. Kills those two maces. Gonna come in for, oh, the capture? Are we going for the capture here? We have hold fire enabled. So I do wonder if maybe that's the plan here. We are gonna capture. My goodness, we're gonna capture the mace right here for the purple commander. Yellow commander building some LLTs here to defend the red commander. And we're going for the capture on the pawn as well. Gonna let our enemy build our units, are we? Alright, just like that, the commander has snuck into the backline here for Falcon Strike, who is now going to start pumping out of this T1 laboratory that is now well under his control. Falcon Strike spawning in the rear tech position, I suppose, not going to be going for tech on this game. Going to be going a little bit for a capture command. Quite cheesy indeed. I feel like we really should just capture everything here. No reason not to, right? Gold Leader setting up some anti-air as well, setting up some LLTs, trying to fortify this position, but Taratron is not eliminated yet. We still have a Navy battle going on. There is a submarine, though. That's going to be huge. Oh, yeah, there's actually nothing to deal with that submarine right here, so that's going to be really unfortunate. Taratron has no way to deal with that submarine in the Navy, so right now, basically forced onto land. We have a lightning tower up now. Okay. Surprised we're not just capturing all of this. Yeah, there we go. We do start capturing the energy storage here. The metal extractors could have been captured as well. You can do a big old area capture command by just hitting the capture button and then left-clicking and dragging a big circle. Allows you to capture everything inside the circle. Submarines shut down the naval lab. Oh no, this is looking terrible. Taratron has lost the main lab, has managed to at the very least deal with this little LLT fortification zone over here. Gold Leader going to be handed over a constructor. My goodness, an incursion unlike anything we've seen before. Taratron cries out for help. I'm getting thrashed, he says, and I would have to agree. This is an absolute thrashing. Suddenly, forced to rebuild off of these mexes on this side of the land. This is not looking great right now. We do have T2 coming out right now. We have the single Hound sent down from the Green Commander, who's just got that very first T2 unit up and running. Are we stepping into a T2 economy? We're looking at it. We're getting those T2 metal extractors up and running. The front line doing phenomenally here for the red team because of that early push that blew up, what is that, about 740 metal worth of laboratory for Zul'Jin-Injus, meaning that that side has been drastically weaker this entire game. Very brutal to deal with. Rocketeers now being pumped out over here. I don't wonder if maybe reclaiming this lab and then using it to fund the T2 transition in the backline over here wouldn't be the end of the world. Gold Leader, also the air player, so having all these units to micro, not the end of the world, because obviously when you're the air player, you can pretty much just rally a whole bunch of fighters over your team's fortifications, and you'll be in a pretty good spot here. So the question is, can these Hounds efficiently clean up this, or are we going to eventually see this T1 do enough damage to shut down this game? The Hounds need to shut down all these T1 units and 2 commanders. 2 commanders is the tricky part here, because of course they can cloak, they can run away, they can degun, all those things become huge, huge problems. Falcon Strike building some metal extractors here. Everybody trying to get build power up and running. What a mess. Taratron still building over here, by the way. Still rebuilding, I should say, as the, yeah, suddenly all of the naval sector has been completely captured. We have purple units coming out now. It's going to be Whistlers. I think I might prefer Janus here. I feel like Janus are going to be what's going to give you that value to get back into a game like this. T1 units coming out. The Beamer turret is set up, though, and that's fabulous. The Beamer turret, excellent for dealing with a whole bunch of units like this. Pawns running forward, but they're not going to see any effect as that Beamer turret lashes them apart here, cutting off their limbs and legs and destroying their servo motors. Down they go, those little Cycloptean heroes. What a beautiful, beautiful strategy right there. By the way, Northern Sea, completely uncontested. No player from any side has gone into the Northern Sea. Quite an interesting strategy we've gone for here. Green Commander apparently not interested in sea play whatsoever, but luckily for the blue team, neither is the Hot Pink Commander, so neither one going to be taking over that sea. Normally as the Sea Lane Commander, if you have the option to, you should go sea. A lot of times, people just default to defending, because usually it's very, very difficult to get into sea from that position. However, in this particular case, it'd be pretty easy to get into sea from over there. Yeah. Are there any other cheeky plays building up, though? Front lines are just looking like masses of units, and I mean, there's just so much metal right here. These Januses could get a huge connection, but it'd have to be, I mean, exactly tremendous. Well, there we go. Big Janus battle over here on the right-hand side. The one with more Januses typically wins. Right now, that's going to go to the Seafoam Commander, Zul'Jin-Injus. Yeah, there we go. His Januses ended up winning out. Looks like these Januses actually did some serious work, too. A whole bunch of those Shell Shockers went down. Rocketeers looking pretty scuffed up as well. The blue team is definitely holding. The power of the Janus comes in to showcase itself once more. Vehicles are now up on the front lines. We've got some medium tanks rolling up. All right, sure. Very heavy metal investment, but why not? Might as well put that metal somewhere. It's not going into tech in the backline, but I don't think that's the end of the world here. We do have a T2 constructor that was handed over, so at the very least we're going to get that T2 economy, but we're not building T2 units back here, which is always going to be a little bit cheeky because your team might be expecting those T2 units eventually here, but the strategy now hinges around collapsing this right-hand side. This is a tricky question, though, because the T2 is going to melt this apart eventually. We now have welders hitting the field. We still have a couple of those hounds. Looks like some of them were degunned down, but still enough of them to be dangerous right here. If we just mass produce hounds right now, I think we have more than enough to completely shut all this down. We need to get this T2 economy up and running, though. Those T2 metal extractors are critical to this working. We've bought enough time for those T2 metal extractors to come up right now, and all that time has instead been spent building just a couple of T1 units. Granted, they're going to be great for holding off these medium tanks, but I think this is exactly the killer time to go into that T2. Not sure why we're building a tracer, the intrusion countermeasure system. It detects cloaked units. It's not even within range right now of the commander over here. Those do have an effective range. It's not unlimited. Yeah, Falcon Strike gets a killer D-gun on all these units over here. Cannot throw away those T2 units like that. They're just so expensive, and you need that efficiency in order to deal with all this properly. Finally, some counter pressure over here. The Janus firing away. That's a hero Janus right there. 0% health remaining on that Janus. 2 health total remaining on that Janus. You could whisper in that Janus's ear to knock it over. Single tick, blasting apart this constructor over here. Love to see it. Barcast TV introduced me to a phrase that I love, which is the citizen's arrest. There we go. The citizen's arrest. Oh, this is a race. Can he do it? Oh, just barely. 1 health remaining on that construction bot right there. Or construction vehicle, rather. But he does get the citizen's arrest off. Master Petey has decided to step out into the water, getting his feet wet. Gonna decide maybe to go into some of those ships. We're going for very expensive anti-air defenses over here on the shore, as well as some heavy, heavy LLTs over here. This guy didn't go water. Absolutely true. Did not go water in the slightest. What a bizarre match. The front line is still holding strong, and because of these T2 that are rolling out, they're actually doing better than that. The blue team's front line is going to continue pushing back. These T1 units stand no chance. Gauntlets seem to be built in the backline here, and I wonder if they're going to be effective enough against the Mauser. During the 1v1 cast, I was informed that the Gauntlet is apparently pretty good against the Mauser. It's a decent enough counter. It can sort of reach out and sort of do enough damage. Yeah, it looks like it does outrange the Mauser there, because the Mauser are now within range of these Gauntlets, but the Gauntlets, however, not within range of striking for those Mauser. Pretty interesting situation. Missile boat now built here by Rokan Court, who has decided to go into T2 naval vehicles, you could say, T2 ships. Going to be firing those away. T2 lab does come out here, and I think this is exactly the right idea. I think going for T2 here makes a whole lot of sense. You're not really going to break this T2 line, not efficiently anyways, with just T1. We still haven't got the T2 metal extractors up, by the way. Ah, that really hurts. Those T2 metal extractors really are the funds you need in order to do all this. Something happened back here. I appear to have missed it. Cyan Commander has detonated in his own base, leaving behind nothing but a corpse and a whole bunch of empty metal extractors. Regardless, I think those should be claimed right now. Send one of these butlers over to go reclaim all that. I think probably not a bad idea. Get whatever value you can out of the map, and then all the rest of it comes from energy converters. Missile ship firing away right there, trying to bombard this land-based facility from Tarataran. When's the last time you've seen a facility from the Defender, from the blue team, their natural spawn, facing this direction, pushing back into their homeland? There we go. We do have some Mauser coming out now. Gold Leader pumping out those Mauser from the T2 laboratory here. I don't mind it whatsoever. Those heavy artillery are going to be just fine to push back any of those T2 that do now come a-stomping. T1 medium tanks, plenty of health in order to deal with all this, and as soon as these Mausers get routed around in this direction and start firing away into this ball of T1 vehicles, it's going to be a done deal. The AoE on those Mauser is just too brutal to clump up your units against. You cannot take efficient fights if your units are clumped together and the Mauser are shelling away at you. Front line appears to have been stabilized a little bit here. Centurions and Gauntlets. Match made in heaven, apparently. I wouldn't have predicted it, but there you go. Firing away. Doing a decent job of repelling all this. This LLT is quite in the way right now for these Gauntlets to fire away. Wouldn't even mind seeing this reclaimed here by Budvarian. Is there no radar over here? There is a radar here. Interesting. Somehow or another, these Gauntlet aren't firing away at the radar signatures of those Mauser in the backline. Not exactly sure why. Not sure it matters either. They do jump forward. The Mauser need to jump on top of these Gauntlets. If they can shut the Gauntlets down, I think this is all right, but the T1 tanks, oh no, we're pushing forward with no health in front of our Mausers right now. It's just T1 medium tanks tearing apart these expensive T2 artillery. That's a brutal, brutal trade. Absolutely not what you're looking for right there. Medium tanks shutting down your T2 Mauser is a terrible, terrible efficiency. Yeah, the blue commander is forced backwards right now. We need some lightning tanks on the front or something. Looks like those Mauser were handed off too, so that's even worse because, well, obviously there's sort of a limited resource, right? The side has eventually been devastated. The purple commander forced to retreat now as those T2 have obliterated all of the remaining sector of the purple over here on this side of the map. The Naval lab, by the way, also eaten up here and turned into the red menace. Taratron retreating for his life with his commander, tail tucked between leg firmly. Spy cameras even set up here. Interesting. Yeah, I think the AoE on those Mausers is just too much. Boom goes the purple commander. Down he goes, left with not but a single construction vehicle to his name. Well, actually, that's not true. We've actually been handed some economy back here. Lovely stuff. Love to see that green is keeping on top of it here. The lime green player is trying their very best at the very least. A little bit of a push over here. Some heavy tanks getting into the fray. Blasting apart those LLTs. There's even a beamer on the front here. I quite like it. We do have ducks waddling their way across underneath the water here. But I think this is where the brutalist push is going to happen. We see all of this T1 supported by the T2 artillery here. This is sort of the perfect match made in heaven. The medium tanks supported by the Mauser. Mauser contributing that long-range firepower, and then the medium tanks obviously pushing forward contributing rather a significant amount of health to that forward push. Beamers, bases, hounds, you name it, it's not going to stand as the overarching firepower rains down on top of the lime green base right now. A beautiful, beautiful siege. Mauser's in the back line. Never a good situation. You never look forward to the Mauser coming out in big numbers and hitting your back line, especially your wind turbines. If Mausers are shooting at your wind turbines, there's definitely a problem here, and I think the lime green commander would be forced to agree. Welders now in mass fabrication. I think hounds are probably a better option here. Yeah, we are going for mass hound fabrication in the back. Again, we didn't get these T2 metal extractors, which is such a shame. There's just an idle T2 constructor over here. Would have absolutely loved to see that happen. Send that around to get these extra metal extractors. 4 times the economy means 4 times the amount of units. That being said, welders do clean up the medium tanks, and just like that, the Mauser are forced off the front lines here. The Mauser can only push as far as their health pool allows them. Ducks, meanwhile, on the other side of the map now, waddling their way up the shoreline. No heavy laser towers or anything like that wherever employed, so these ducks are essentially having free reign across this battlefield here. Agitator, still up and running. Ducks trying desperately to shut that down. Having a pretty hard time. The ducks' laser beam is actually pretty abysmal. Their torpedo launcher is wonderful. Their laser beam, not so impressive. Master PD, trying to degun these down. Yeah, looks like Hot Potato is on top of it. Looking to micro these away from harm. I think we could go for the commander, though. I think there's more than enough ducks to try and snipe that commander. This push has been exacerbated, though, as the pink and orange commanders now push their way through. We have these missile ships contributing heavily as well. We are up to, my goodness, 5 missile ships shelling away at whatever they can from this little pocket here. Absolutely devastating. And APHIS comes up online even here. Surprised we're not targeting that down. Yeah, there we go. Medium tanks will now align their cannons and lay siege to the APHIS here of the powder blue player, sending that base to oblivion. All of the energy infrastructure goes down. Just a couple of metal extractors left right there, but it will not matter. This siege over on the southern side has worked out. It was a risky gambit, but in the end, it did matter. Falcon Strike and Gold Leader managed to claim this section of the map, and I think eventually it pried open the doors for their team to push on forward. I think what probably had even more so of an effect, though, more than anything, was degunning down this lab right here. It effectively meant that the red team had complete control over the isthmus. It meant that the pressure was applied back here, where the blue team had no control over this metal extractor, this metal extractor, or this metal extractor, and that was a overwhelming economic advantage then eventually translated to the red team, and I think that's where it all began, where it all ended. Ducks being sacrificed here to the long-range plasma barrage of those hounds, but I think those hounds are needed elsewhere. Sharpshooters firing away up on this hillside here. We're going for a lot of spy cameras. The thing about spy cameras is they take forever to cloak, And also, if you park them right next to your units, or rather you park your units right next to the spy cameras, the friendly fire, or at the very least the AoE fire, is eventually going to obliterate them. Ticks running into the backline here, just being a menace. Bulls pushing the front as well. Very expensive, but at this point, Gold Leader does not have to worry about efficiency. It's all about damage. Shutting down production. There we go. Bull now firing at this T1 production facility. It's going to shut down the ticks here. We're now firing at whatever else we can. Mauser are caught unprotected, though. With those bulls down, the Mauser are completely undefended. It's a valiant last stand for the powder blue commander and the lime green commander. But things are looking phenomenal elsewhere on the map. We do have an amphibious gantry coming up over here. Not sure how relevant that's going to be. Hounds now pushing out in great number. And to be fair, this is a tremendous amount of hounds. It could certainly do enough to clean up all this base over here. The problem you have is you're a bit too late. Yeah, I think losing your entire team here. Just unfortunately a little too inefficient. And now with all these units pushing in, we have ambassadors even rolling in with some of the starlights. Everything out of the Armada toolkit has been busted out here in order to try and obtain this victory. Heavy tanks obliterating the backline now. The wind turbines are slowly but surely falling. Medium tanks also rolling in. I'm doing my part, says the medium tanks. I've been playing a lot of Helldivers recently, and it's reminds me a lot of Starship Troopers. Let me know if you'd like to see some Helldivers. I've been considering making some Helldiver videos. That game is hilariously cinematic. Nothing quite like calling in danger close air support on friendly units. Not that you couldn't do it in bar either. That game is just certainly pretty beautiful. There we go. Looks like indeed the Green Commander realizes all hope is lost as the entire team has been obliterated. Red forces encroaching on all angles, and the risky play from our Canadian hero as well as their gold team American leader going to end up paying off in a victory. What an awesome match. Let me know what you thought about it down below in the comment section. As usual, you can hit the subscribe or the like button if you want to show your support, and I will hope to see you in the very next game of Beyond All Reason. Peace out, everybody.